What is up, guys? This is All Day Day 1 on the PS4, and I'm going to be giving you a build breakdown for Storm. Alright, let's go ahead and look at the skills, look at her traits real quick. So, Brute Strike chance, she gets an automatic 5%. Speed and Energy are her two main attributes. Her middle box, Human Tempest, the Tempest is her primary resource. Tempest regenerates while in combat and never decays. When Tempest is filled, activate Tempest Surge. The buff effect for Tempest Surge, Tempest cannot be generated and decays at rate of -50 per second, meaning it never decays. Base attack speed, movement speed, base damage, and dodge chances all increase by 20% while Tempest Surge is active. Cloak of the Wind on the right box, health gained 210 health per second. This effect is tripled for 4 seconds when you fall below 35% of your max health at once every 10 seconds. Deflect rating multiplier and dodge rating multiplier are 20%. Deflect rating and the dodge rating is at 600. So for her abilities, I use Chain Lightning on X, basically like her primary ability. It does nice AOE as well. I use Ball of Lightning on Triangle, Thundering Maelstrom on Circle, Lightning Storm on Square. And then I have Sirocco Rush, which is her dash ability on Circle, Storm Surge on L2 Square, Sudden Tornadoes on L2X, and Typhoon on L2 Triangle. Typhoon is a nice signature AOE, pulls enemies in and it doesn't freeze them, but it slows them. 80% movement speed is slowed. 10,000, or it does twice the damage per second, whatever. And it also generates 100% of your Tempest. Sudden Tornadoes damages your enemy 3405 twice per second. The number will always change depending on what your base damage is. You can summon 3 of these, and this is a summon ability, so having your synergies with summon damage would help out with this. Storm Surge, summon 2 tornadoes, can only be activated while Tempest Surge is active, and your damage for this is 22,422 to 33,632. Crit hit chance is 100%. Tornado damage 3405 twice per second. Tornado duration is 10 seconds, 30-second cooldown. Thundering Maelstrom, it can only be active while Tempest Surge is active. Damage for this is 2,401 to 3602 per hit. 50% attack and movement speed is reduced on the enemies that are hit. Ball of Lightning, you throw a crackling ball of lightning that shocks all enemies in its path. Damage 5494 to 8240. Arc lightning damage 1114 to 1671. Cooldown is 4 seconds and you get 3 charges. Chain Lightning, what Chain Lightning does is it hits multiple enemies all at once. So if you have, let's say, 5 enemies in a cluster, it'll more than likely hit all 5 or 4. It hits up to 9 enemies. It says total enemies hit 9. So you can basically, this is a really good AOE ability if you're using it as a primary ability, which is what I use it for. Lightning Storm, a summoning powerful lightning strike that damages and stuns enemies that then creates a lingering field of electricity which continues to damage enemies in its area. The damage for it is 5130 to 7695. Damage 1718 twice per second. So the first damage, I think that's just like the initial damage, and then the damage over time is just the I think they're both damage over time, but the second one is just the like little, I don't know how to necessarily explain it, but it's just like little add-on damage as well. Vulnerability makes your enemies vulnerable, which means they take 10% more damage, and it's a 6-second duration. So to your talents, butterflies, and hurricanes is what you want to go with. Sudden tornadoes summons an additional tornado. You can either go with this or flash and thunder. I went with this because so I went with this one because you summon another tornado, gain a 15% chance when you hit with the wind power to summon a Dust Devil. Dust Devil damage 2957 twice per second. Dust Devil duration 6 seconds. Electric power damage plus 10%. Gain a 20% chance when you hit with electric power to summon a lightning column. Lightning column 2290 damage twice per second. And that lightning column stays on for 6 seconds. So you can use either or. It doesn't matter which one you choose because you have it does. To me, I don't think it matters. Your signature is going to benefit from this one. It won't benefit from this, but the majority of your skills are electric. So you can pick or choose whichever one. The Arctic winds, you don't need to worry about that one. Freezing Tempest, base damage is increased by 10%. While your Tempest Surge is active, you do 1333 damage twice per second, and your enemies are slowed 35% attack speed and movement speed. So this is a really nice one to have. This one is also pretty nice to have because your crit chance is increased by 3%, and you deal 1485 to 2227 damage per second or per hit while your Tempest is active. This one will give you a deflect chance, so this isn't too bad. I wouldn't necessarily worry about it too much. So if you, these two are the ones you want to go for, one of these two that you could decide on. So either these two or these two. So the next one, I went with Healing Rain because this is honestly the only healing ability you're gonna have. So health gained at 280 per second. Typhoon cooldown, you're gonna have 10 seconds less of a cooldown for it. Buff effects, rapid healing, health gain at 20% of max health per second, 3-second duration. And I think this applies to everyone around you, so not just yourself, but to your allies. Acid Rain, Typhoon cooldown. This one does more damage, basically damage over time, drops acid on the enemies. I wouldn't necessarily worry about it too much because you're not going to need that extra bit of damage, but if you would like, you can take it. Storm Vortex, Typhoon deals 40% more damage and now continually pulls enemy into its area of effect for the entire duration. So Storm Vortex and Healing Rain are, in my opinion, the two best options. If you think you can do fine without the healing, then go with Storm Vortex because this will do a ton more damage for you, and it'll also try to keep enemies in the middle of it. Tailwinds, Thundering Maelstrom, it gives you is 30% more damage increase. While channeling Thundering Maelstrom, your movement speed and damage resistance is increased by 30%. That would be the only one I would actually activate. Yeah, I would only use this one. I wouldn't worry about these two. Foreboding Winds, Tempest Generation, only requires Temper Surge to active, and now immediately. No, I wouldn't worry about this one because the cooldown is 30 seconds on it. And when you use your signature, it just automatically refreshes it, or if your Tempest fills up automatically, then that'll get filled up, and the cooldown for that would automatically refresh. So don't worry about Foreboding Winds. Always strike twice. Gale Force Winds transforms into Lightning Conduit. Lightning Conduit is a lightning. So the only thing you're gonna worry about with this is the lightning ball or ball of lightning. You're not gonna use Lightning Conduit because that's gonna have a cooldown on it instead of a non-cooldown. So Ball of Lightning gains a 4-second cooldown and has 3 charges and will now stick to the first enemy hit, dealing damage to nearby enemies for 3 seconds. Passive effect, attack and movement speed is increased by 5%. Fury of the Storm, Tempest Surge gains the effects of Lightning Tempest and Gusting Tempest. So that's actually a really nice one to have as well. So if you don't want this one, you can take this one instead. Fury of the Storm, because Lightning Tempest and Gusting Tempest will do damage over time, more damage over time. So it'll do. Oh no, that's fucking. Oh shit, where is it? I don't remember where it's at. All I know is it does damage over time, and it also pushes your enemies away from you. So that one would be really useful to have if you don't want to go with Always Strike Twice. So for her synergies, I'll just name out what is good and what you don't need to worry about and what helps. So Angela's is good. Ant-Man, you don't need to worry about. You don't need to worry about Beast. Black Panther's movement helps, but you don't need it. Black Widow's range helps. I would say need. Blade helps. Attack speed and health on hit. Captain America helps for the deflect rating. Captain Marvel, the energy helps, I believe. Not 100% sure. But the hand-to-hand doesn't. Colossus helps. Cyclops helps increase your Tempest a lot more quicker. Daredevil's helps just the damage to normal elites. Deadpool's health regen helps, the explosive doesn't. Magic's Doctor Strange magic doesn't help. Gambit's energy attribute you need. Ghost Rider you don't need. Hawkeye helps, I would say need. Hulk's you need. Iceman's you need. Iron Fist helps for the health regen. Iron Man I would say need. If the energy does count towards it, then yes, you definitely need. But range, you still need that. Jean Grey's range you need. Kitty Pryde's helps. Luke Cage's helps for the durability. Magic's helps for the health on hit. Well, I would actually say need, because you get both health on. You need the health on hit, kind of, and the summon power damage is for one of your abilities, one of your tornadoes. Moon Knight, high risk, high reward is your option, your choice, if you want to go with the 10% damage while under 50% health. Nova, his movement speed helps, dodge rating multiplier helps, but you're not going to necessarily stack on dodge, because I don't think that's one of your traits. If it is, then sure. Psylocke does not help. Punisher's helps for the range, not the gun. Rocket Raccoon's helps or need, whichever one you want. Scarlet's definitely need. She-Hulk's need or help. Spider-Man's helps. Squirrel Girl, I would say need. Star-Lord helps for just the Tempest. Storm need. Thor, I would say need.
While I wait,
War Machine, I would say need or helps, I guess. Wolverine's you don't need. Infinity points, I put 2 into energy and 6 into potency. But if you don't have 25 points, if you're under that, either the temporal loophole, gravity well, or maybe strike through for the more brutal damage. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and show you my gear loadout. So I just recently got my gear. My gear is not at all optimized whatsoever, but we're not going to look at that. The medallion that I have the Magneto medallion, not what I want to get. The one you want to have is the Doctor Doom medallion, because that one gives you signature, or when you use your signature, you get +1 to all your attributes, and I think it's a 30-second cooldown, and I believe it's a 10-second duration. So that's what you want to have for that. But the brutal damage, crit damage, critical hit, or brutal strike is what you want to have as the stat. My catalyst is almost a perfect roll. I have a regen 25% of my max health up to 3,000 and 100 Tempest when you use a medkit. So you can get that on any catalyst. And you can get the purple one, the mutation bonus, on any catalyst as well. But what you want on the purple mutation bonus, you want to get when you use a medkit, you gain 5,000 health back, Or when you are below 40% health, you gain 1000 health per second, I believe for 8 seconds or something like that, or 5 seconds. And then for the cosmic talent, gain a damage shield equal to 50% of your maximum health when you use your medkit. You definitely want to keep that. My relic, I have Relic of Gibberin, health, 1000 health and 150 Tempest. That helps a whole lot for you. You're, yeah, I would definitely go with that one or Relic of Xander, mainly because I would go with the Gibberin because that way you would have more Tempest to like spend with, rather than not. You don't necessarily need too much range damage, I guess. I mean, the range damage definitely helps, but the higher your Tempest is, the more damage output you have when, because your Tempest Surge bonus. My artifacts, I'm using Cargo's Rewrites, Hand of Doom, and Advanced Reserve Electrical Generator. So I'm gonna start off with this one. I got this Advanced Reserve Electrical Generator from Shockwave, I believe. Yeah, Shockwave, and it gives 1 to 3 energy, 60 or what X amount of Tempest, X amount percentage Tempest cost reduction, X amount of defense rating. When you critically hit, gain 1 to 3 Tempest on hit for 8 seconds. Stacks up to 3 times. When you reach 3 stacks, you gain 657 critical damage rating for 8 seconds. When you drop below 25% max Tempest, you gain 30 Spirit Recovery for 16 seconds, and it's a 30-second cooldown. Hand of Doom, you gain 1 to 3 Intelligence, Energy, and Strength, 402 critical hit rating, 251 Brutal Strike rating, 4% chance to electrocute enemies for 5,910 energy damage when you hit. So this is gonna practically proc all the time because Storm has probably the best damage over time, like the fastest damage over time that I've seen. So this, yeah, Hand of Doom is definitely gonna help her out a lot. Cargo's Rewrites, when you use your signature power, knock all nearby enemies back upon landing. Enemies are stunned for 1 second. After the stun ends, enemies suffer a rewrite, pulling them back in. It's a 30-second cooldown. You gain 1 to 3 to all attributes. When you critically hit, recover 5 Tempest. When you're defeated, begin dreaming. After dreaming, awake in the shadows with full health and Tempest. It's a 3-minute cooldown. Problem about this, for the dreaming when you're defeated, that's not going to work in your trials, so don't expect that to help you when if you go down. But everything else definitely helps out. The attribute bonus, the critically hit to recover Tempest, and the signature, all that helps. So let's go on to the stats. My energy is at 15, speed at 6. You want to increase the speed higher because speed and energy are your 2 main attributes. My average effective health is only 35,405 and 34% damage reduction. My critical hit, critical damage, brutal strike, and brutal damage. My brutal damage is the only one here that's actually good, and my base damage. Everything else is just really low. You can reach those and pass those if you're in full purple gear. If you're in full purple gear, you'll get like, you can, well, with the same, not the same stats, but like the stats that you want to go for. You want to go for at least 1600 to 1800 critical hit and 1600 to 1800 brutal strike. For your critical damage, you want to go for at least 3000 critical damage and 3000 brutal strike, brutal damage. That's the minimum of what you would want to go for. I'm not saying anything below it is bad, but you know, if you want to put out as much damage as possible for purple gear, I would say those would be the bare minimum stats you would want to go for. My base damage is at 84%. I would say 60% at the minimum is where you'd want to be. But yeah, this 84% is a it's a really good mark to be at. And yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys the rotation, not necessarily rotations. She doesn't have a rotation. It's just use whatever is available. So let's go ahead and use the ball, lightning, whatever. So when you use one of them, it does a nice AOE ability. And yeah, so I'm gonna use my square, which drops lightning. You can just keep spamming these as well. This is like a very happy AOE spamming ability, which I love it. Next one is your signature. What I normally do is I use L2 triangle, L2 X, and L2 square all at the same time, just because the damage over time on that is just really, it's just nasty. And then once all those are active, I just press circle, because you do a nice AOE damage, and you can roam around, take 30% less damage, and you have a 30% more movement speed. So that is basically all for Storm. Yeah, so if you have any suggestions of the build, not suggestions, well, I guess suggestions too would help. But if this build helped you out at all, or and whatnot, then go ahead and leave a like, comment on it, let me know how you like it, if it helped you out. Just keep in mind, when you don't expect to do trials right away, like a cosmic trials, and expect to beat it right away, you do have to get familiar with the build, see how it works, and just get used to it when you're doing cosmic trials. Because I did complete cosmic trials in full purple gear with this build. There were a couple people telling me that they were having problems, and my build might not work for them because I was in cosmic gear. I did this with full purple gear. I have no legendary item. Oh, speaking of legendary item, the legendary item that I would highly recommend is the Casket of Winters. So that is probably the best option because it gives you damage bonus to wind, ice, and electricity. I forgot what the rank 4 and 5 bonuses were, but those three are the ones that definitely caught my eye the most for her. So you definitely want to pick that up if you can. But anyways, for Storm, I didn't have any purple gear, and I didn't have any. I had like 1 or 2 cosmics, and I think I didn't have that great of artifacts either. I didn't think I had the Hand of Doom, but it helped, and it took me about 3 tries to get it down. So yeah, that's all. This is all Day1. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.